Welcome to the video, guys. You might have seen all the hubbub going on around Brexit recently that has seen Barnier going back and forth with our Brexit negotiator David Frost, complaining how we are not giving them what they want, which is obviously how a negotiation goes. We have what we want, they have what they want, you have to come to a deal. The EU don't want part of that because they want things they know is against what Boris Johnson actually got elected for. Well, it seems Michel Barnier is getting a bit big for his boots and thinks he holds all of the trump cards, which he really doesn't. As is reported in the Sunday Times here, he is saying Boris Johnson needs to keep his promises or face a no-deal Brexit. Like, that is some ultimatum to us. Is he actually having a laugh? Britain risks a double economic whammy, says the EU, and the EU risks being completely useless and breaking apart if it continues down its route. Never mind our economy, what about yours? You can't even agree to the bailouts or your budget. That is like 70 billion under what it needs to be because you don't have our dough. The EU's chief negotiator has warned Boris Johnson that he must keep his promises if he wants to avoid the double economic hit of a no-deal Brexit and the coronavirus pandemic. Well, we're dealing with the coronavirus situation as it is, and a no-deal Brexit has been planned for years. The UK will be fine, especially when you consider the fact that being out of the EU will make fixing our economy a hell of a lot easier, as is common knowledge at this point. In an exclusive interview, Michel Barnier accuses the Prime Minister of backsliding on commitments made in the political declaration, which is a non-binding agreement, so essentially means nothing. Boris Johnson needs to wipe his arse with it and smother it all over this EU shitweasel's face, if you ask me. Issuing an ultimatum, he warned there would not be an agreement at any cost. That's good. We would actually prefer no agreement at all. Speaking ahead of the start of the fourth round of Brexit talks this week, which could determine whether an agreement on a trade deal can be reached before the end of the transition period on December 31st. Barnier said the UK has been taking a step back, 2 steps back, 3 steps back from the original commitments. Yeah, we're taking multiple steps back from the EU and the unmitigated shit show that it's going to become once this coronavirus situation is all over. The EU's economy is going to be in the bin, much like many other countries, but the infighting over bailouts and the handling of this situation could well see the end of it, with Italy possibly leaving very soon, along with a few other countries. We certainly hope that is the case, and reports and polling would suggest it is definitely possible. The UK negotiators need to be fully in line with what the Prime Minister signed up to with us, because 27 heads of state and government and the European Parliament do not have a short memory. Well, you seem to have a short memory. You're still operating as if we're in the 2017 to 2019 Parliament. This is the 2020 Parliament with a Tory majority of 80 seats. They can change what they want in the political declaration, as I've said, because it means absolutely nothing. We remember very clearly the text which we negotiated with Boris Johnson, and we just want to see that complied with to the letter, and if it doesn't happen, there will be no agreement. Okay, no agreement then. Boris, don't even bother sending our negotiators over there or to speak to them over the phone as it is at the moment. Just literally blank them off and we'll take a no-deal Brexit. As a matter of fact, it's a shame if you can't do it now. Maybe you should try. Negotiations have reached a stalemate amid frustration in Europe that the UK government is rowing back from the political declaration, which means absolutely nothing. I don't know why they keep banging on about it. It is complete nonsense. Concerns focus on the maintenance of a level playing field for British and European businesses on environment, social and labour standards, security, governance and conditions on future access for European fishing fleet in British waters, which is obviously what happens in a negotiation, but the things that they're asking for are ridiculous and they know cannot be done because, like the rest of the Remainers, I anticipate that they just want to keep delaying Brexit indefinitely until eventually some Labour government can revoke it entirely. Barnier said Brexit is lose-lose. Yes, for the EU, it definitely is a lose-lose situation. Nobody has been able to show there's any added value to Brexit, not so far. Not even Nigel Farage. So, in these negotiations, what we do is damage limitation. Yeah, damage limitation for the EU. If we leave on a WTO Brexit, then the UK will prosper and the government will be able to take actual decisions that will help the country. And a stupid poll here, should the UK request an extension to the Brexit transition period? No, it should not. And it's currently sitting at 50-50, but this is the Sunday Times, and what is this nonsense coming up? Go away. If we don't get an agreement, then that will have even more consequences, and then of course those will be added to the already very serious consequences of the coronavirus crisis. So I think that we have a joint responsibility in this very serious crisis which affects so many families. A senior government source said it is the UK that is driving any progress in this negotiation. The European Commission are either not ready or not willing to inject momentum. They need to put some political reality into their approach and appreciate they cannot use their usual tactic of delay to drag the talks into the autumn. By then, it will be too late, as businesses need to know what to prepare for with as much time as is practicable. Barnier claims the EU has less to lose from a no-deal Brexit. We are less exposed because 7% of our exports go to the UK, whereas for the UK it's 47% of their exports which come to the EU. He said, so I think that it is in the interests of both sides to find an agreement, particularly now. Oh, that's okay then, we'll keep 47% of our exports and see how the people of the EU feel when they can't get their food and goods that they are relying on to stay alive or enjoy their life as much as they can given the current situation. I find it completely amazing that he is forgetting if we send 47% of our goods there, then they obviously desperately need them. Stopping them flowing over will affect the EU's popularity over there and possibly cause social unrest, which we already see in France on a regular basis anyway. If the UK does not reach a free trade agreement with the EU, Britain will trade with the bloc on World Trade Organization terms after December 31st. Meaning tariffs will apply on the vast majority of exports. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, Boris Johnson said he was going to put something like 80% of goods on a no-tariff scheme. Like I said, I could well be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember covering it at the time. Relations between the two sides reached a new low earlier this month after a frank exchange of letters between Barnier and his UK counterpart David Frost, who criticised the EU's approach to the negotiations. In a direct attack on Frost this week, Barnier warned that the clock is ticking, adding, I would prefer to use the time in real negotiations rather than in exchange of letters. Barnier's intervention comes as a report by the Social Market Foundation think tank, commissioned by the pro-EU campaign group Best for British, warned of the severe economic disruption that would face the North West and the Midlands in the UK if the UK left the EU without a deal on December 31st. Oh yeah, that's believable from a pro-Remain organisation. It has the credibility of Jeremy Corbyn, in my opinion. The report entitled Assessing the Economic Implications of Coronavirus and Brexit claims the manufacturing, banking, finance and insurance sectors in the former Labour heartlands known as the Red Wall seats would be severely exposed to a double economic hit from Brexit and the coronavirus. Where is the evidence to show that then? Because you are predicting the future, which, let me tell you, is not possible even with Mystic Meg's crystal ball. James Kirkup, the director of the SMF, said the evidence shows that both ending our close trading relationship with the EU and the measures taken to combat the coronavirus will have a negative impact on the UK economy as a whole. How can you come to that conclusion when, for a start, you're basing it on no evidence, just predictions, and the fact that being part of the EU actually limits the things the government can do to help the economy grow? This is common knowledge outside of, obviously, the Ramonin echo chambers that this pro-EU organisation and the people who did this research clearly feel. Naomi Smith, the chief executive of Best for Britain, said, when you map these findings onto the UK's geography, it shows that particular areas of Britain, such as the North West and Midlands region, will be disproportionately harmed. Last week, Barnier said the EU was open to a 2-year Brexit delay, which was rebuffed by Frost. who told MPs the firm policy of the government remains not to extend the transition period beyond the end of the year. Asked about the British government's response, Barnier said, "What I am hearing publicly and privately is that the UK do not want to ask for and talk about this kind of extension. We need to clarify that once and for all by the end of June." Well, it would appear it's being clarified already, because even the incompetent Tory party certainly know they cannot betray the British people again. They will lose the next election and likely multiple after it. The latest round of talks will start this week. We don't actually care about that. Hopefully the talks don't go ahead, as I've said, but I think you will all agree that it is pretty funny. Michel Barnier is trying to threaten Boris Johnson with a no-deal Brexit. Is he having a laugh? Boris Johnson has already said he would happily go for a no-deal Brexit if they have to, which it appears we might well have to do. Now, before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now, as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.